Get that feeling, that little niggle that you might be selling yourself short.
Hmm.
Like you're operating on half power, accepting things that, well, deep down you know aren't really what you want or deserve.
That's a really powerful question. And it hits right at the heart of what we're exploring today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's that quiet sense that the comfort we've maybe settled into,
Yeah,
well, it might actually be limiting us in pretty profound ways.
exactly. So this deep dive is all about raising your personal standards. We've looked at some fascinating material
Mm-hmm.
that helps pinpoint those areas where maybe you might be unintentionally settling.
Right, without even realizing it sometimes.
And more importantly, we found some really practical steps, things you can actually do to actively demand more from life.
Yeah, actionable stuff.
Think of it as like a guide to unlocking that untapped potential we all have. We want this to feel like a real conversation, not just reading facts.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here, I think, is how subtly settling can just creep into our lives. It's rarely this conscious decision, okay, I'll accept less now.
No, never.
Instead, it's often more like a slow erosion. Your expectations just dip.
Yeah.
Across different areas, relationships, work.
Even friendships.
Oh, definitely. Friendships, family. It can feel easy at first, maybe even comfortable, right?
Yeah, the path of least resistance.
Exactly. But that initial ease, well, can eventually lead to this duck sense of being unfulfilled, just stuck.
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
Thinking back, there have been times I've stayed in relationships that were comfortable, but ultimately just wrong.
Uh-huh.
Or stuck with jobs that were just fine.
Yeah.
Because they were convenient.
The fine trap, it's so common.
Totally. And even friendships, ones that consistently drained my energy. I just let them linger. It's like you get into a holding pattern.
And that's a key insight, this holding pattern. It often isn't driven by laziness, is it?
No, not really.
Sometimes it's maybe a fear of the unknown,
Oh.
or even this underlying belief that we don't actually deserve more.
Oof.
We can get so accustomed to a certain level of dissatisfaction that the idea of change, even positive change, just feels daunting. Too much effort, maybe.
Okay, let's look at a story that really brought this into focus for us. We came across the experience of Gabriella R.
Ah, yes, Gabriella.
At 27, she found herself in a situation that I think many people listening might recognize.
Pretty classic scenario, really.
Yeah, a job that didn't excite her, a kind of casual relationship that wasn't really going anywhere.
The situationship.
Exactly. And friendships that often left her feeling, well, less than great. Does that sound familiar to you?
It's incredibly common, yeah. Someone whose expectations, maybe without her even realizing it, had just gradually lowered, right across the board. But what's really illuminating about Gabriella's story is the trigger, that clear catalyst for change.
Right. It was after a date that was just underwhelming, really mediocre.
Sometimes that's all it takes, isn't it? One more mediocre experience.
And something just shifted for her. She essentially thought, nope, this isn't good enough anymore.
Good for her.
And her response was incredibly direct. She ended that non-committed relationship, the situationship, with a simple but really powerful message. Just, this no longer serves me.
Wow. That's such a powerful example, isn't it? Recognizing that mismatch between what she wanted and what she was getting,
Yeah.
and then clearly articulating a new boundary. It's not about being unkind either. It's just honest self-assessment, a commitment to her own well-being.
And she didn't stop there, did she?
No, she kept going.
Gabrielle also made the decision to leave her unfulfilling job. But, and this is important, she wasn't impulsive about it.
Right. Not reckless.
She actively looked for and secured a better opportunity first, which I think highlights that raising your standards isn't about just, burning bridges recklessly.
No, it's about intentional action. It's about forward momentum.
Moving towards something better.
Precisely. Consciously moving toward something more aligned with your values, your aspirations, rather than just running away from the negative thing.
Right.
And her approach to friendships is just as telling, I thought.
How so?
Well, she made a deliberate effort to distance herself from those relationships that consistently left her feeling drained.
Creating space.
Exactly. Opening up space for more positive, supportive connections to actually come into her life.
And the results, well, they really speak for themselves. Within just a few months.
It was quite quick, wasn't it?
Remarkably quick. Gabriella saw this significant positive shift. A healthy, fulfilling romantic relationship. A career she actually enjoyed.
And good friends.
And a supportive network of friends. It's just such a compelling illustration, isn't it? How consciously deciding to raise your standards can lead to tangible, pretty rapid improvements.
Absolutely.
The core takeaway seems to be, get really clear on what you truly want and what you will no longer accept, and then be prepared to act on it.
And what's fascinating to consider is how her internal decision, deciding to value herself more highly,
Uh-huh.
how that manifested in these external changes. By believing she deserved better, she started making choices that reflected that belief.
And things changed around her.
And the world around her, yeah, it responded in a way that basically validated her new standards. It's like the universe matched her energy.
So for you listening, how can you translate this kind of intentional shift into your own life?
Yeah.
Our source material outlines a really practical 5-step framework for this, for effectively raising your standards.
Okay, yeah. This is where we move from just understanding the problem
Right.
to actively creating solutions. And the first crucial step is clearly define your non-negotiables.
Okay. Non-negotiables.
And this isn't about making some vague wish list,
No. Needs to be concrete.
Exactly. It's about taking the time to actually write down with specificity what you will absolutely no longer tolerate. In those key areas, relationships, work, your well-being.
Like, what are the baseline requirements?
What are the fundamental requirements for you to feel respected, valued, and fulfilled? What does that actually look like on paper?
It's almost like creating a personal constitution for your life, isn't it?
That's a great way to put it, yeah. And the second step flows right from that. It's quite direct. Remove mediocrity immediately.
Okay, rip the Band-Aid off.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It means actively taking steps to distance yourself from situations or maybe relationships that clearly fall below those standards you've just defined.
That sounds hard.
Oh, it can be. It can be challenging, even uncomfortable. But it's essential if you want to create the space for better things to actually enter your life.
Because holding on to what's just okay
Can actually block your path to something truly great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that discomfort is often a huge barrier.
Why is that?
Well, it's often fueled by things like the sunk cost fallacy.
Right. I've already put so much time and energy into this.
Exactly. That feeling that we need to hold on to something even if it's not serving us anymore just because of the past investment.
Letting go is tough.
But recognizing when to let go is such a critical part of raising your standards. Which leads to the third step. Take one bold action.
Okay, bold action like what?
Well, it's about encouraging you to push just beyond your current comfort zone. It might involve applying for that job that feels slightly out of reach.
Or speaking up.
Or confidently expressing your needs in a relationship, yeah. Or maybe setting a really firm boundary in a challenging situation with a friend or family member.
Just one thing.
One bold thing to start. That initial action can often create this powerful ripple effect. Momentum.
Okay, that makes sense. And the fourth step focuses on your environment.
Right. Surround yourself with high-value people.
High value. What does that mean exactly?
It means seeking out mentors, maybe joining communities or groups that align with your aspirations, and consciously nurturing friendships with people who inspire you.
People who lift you up.
People who support your growth, yeah, and who kind of holds you to a higher standard simply by their own example. Because the people you spend your time with, they have a huge influence on what you come to expect from yourself and from life.
You absorb their standards almost.
Absolutely. We tend to internalize the standards of our peer group for better or worse.
Right. Okay. And the final step, number 5.
And finally, the fifth step is about cultivating a more long-term perspective. Refuse immediate gratification.
Delaying gratification.
Essentially, yeah. It means being willing to forego those short-term comforts or those easy solutions if they ultimately compromise your higher standards and your long-term goals.
So, choosing the harder path sometimes.
Choosing the path that leads to sustainable fulfillment rather than just fleeting ease. Prioritizing what really matters in the long run.
That's such a crucial point. It's so tempting, isn't it, to take the easy route, the quick fix.
Always.
But often those choices just keep us trapped in those patterns of settling.
Precisely.
Now, to really illustrate how these principles work, like in the real world, we have some brief examples, right?
Yeah.
People who've actively raised their standards.
Yeah, these concise examples really underscore the practical application of this framework and make it feel less abstract.
Okay, give us one.
Okay, consider Sarah. She worked somewhere where unpaid overtime was just expected. The norm.
Ugh, been there.
Right. And she just decided no more. She simply stopped accepting it, stopped working for free consistently.
What happened? Did she get in trouble?
Well, initially she might have worried about repercussions, right? But instead, something else happened. Her management actually began to respect her time more.
Really?
Yeah, and ultimately, they recognized her contributions properly with a promotion.
Wow. That's a powerful demonstration. Just setting a clear professional boundary led to more respect, more value.
Exactly. Then there's Chloe. She was tired of uncertainty in her relationship.
The non-committal boyfriend situation.
You got it. So she directly asked him for clarity. Where is this going? What are we doing?
That takes guts.
It does. But by refusing to settle for ambiguity, she basically prompted him to take their relationship more seriously. He stepped up and committed.
So sometimes people actually rise to meet the expectations you clearly communicate.
Sometimes they do, yeah, if the foundation is there. And Anya's experience really highlights the impact of our social connections, our friendships.
Okay, what did Anya do?
She consciously started creating distance from friends who were consistently negative or gossipy, you know the type.
Draining.
Very draining. And she actively sought out more supportive, uplifting friendships instead, people who made her feel good.
And the result?
A significant improvement in her overall emotional well-being, her mood, her outlook. It's just a powerful reminder, isn't it? The quality of our relationships directly influences our happiness.
And our standards.
And our standards for how we expect to be treated. Absolutely.
Now, it's natural to wonder, as you're listening to this, okay, this sounds good, but how do I know if I'm genuinely settling?
The big question.
Versus just having expectations that are maybe a bit too high, unrealistic. We actually got a great question about this from listener Ava in Nashville. She touched on this exact distinction.
Yeah, and this is a really important point of clarification. It's a common confusion.
So how do we tell the difference?
Well, settling often carries this feeling of resignation, a sense that you're shrinking your desires down to fit what you think is possible or what you think you deserve.
Like you're making yourself smaller.
Exactly. There might be this persistent undercurrent of dissatisfaction. Or a feeling that you're consistently making compromises that leave you feeling depleted or maybe even resentful over time.
Okay, so that's settling. What about expectations being too high, like Ava asked?
Having expectations that are genuinely too high tends to feel more like a disconnect from reality, from the actual circumstances or maybe the capabilities involved, yours or others.
Okay.
It might involve demands or expectations of others or even yourself that just aren't realistic or sustainable in the given context. It really is about finding that healthy middle ground.
Balance.
Balance, yeah. And the key, honestly, lies in self-awareness, really paying attention to your internal cues, your gut feelings.
Just trusting your intuition.
Definitely. If you consistently feel a sense of being stifled, or if your energy is constantly being drained by certain situations or relationships, that's a strong indication that you're likely settling, not just being demanding.
So listen to that feeling.
Trusting your intuition and being really honest with yourself about your true needs and desires is crucial here.
Okay. So as we start to wrap this up, what's the real price we pay when we settle, when we accept less?
Oh, the cost is significant. It's multifaceted, really. It obviously impacts your overall sense of happiness, your fulfillment.
Yeah.
But it also hinders your personal growth, your professional development. And ultimately, it just prevents you from reaching your full potential, from experiencing the richness that life really has to offer when you're not operating from a place of lack.
It really comes down to that powerful idea we touched on.
Yeah.
You tend to attract what you're willing to tolerate.
That's the crux of it, isn't it?
Yeah. So the more you're willing to accept less than you truly deserve, the more likely you are to just keep receiving exactly that. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And thankfully, the flip side is also true.
Ah, the positive side.
When you consciously decide, okay, I'm raising my standards, and you firmly refuse to settle for anything less than what truly nourishes you, you open yourself up to a whole new realm of possibilities, better experiences, better relationships, better opportunities. Things start to align with that higher expectation.
Demand more, get more, settle less. Well, don't settle.
Essentially.
So for you listening right now, here's maybe a powerful question to sit with after this. Think about just one specific area of your life.
Just one to start.
Just one, where you have that nagging feeling, that little voice saying you might be settling. What is one concrete, maybe bold action you could take, starting perhaps even today, to begin raising your standards in just that one area? Really consider how your life could begin to transform. Simply by making that conscious decision, the decision to no longer accept those crumbs, to demand the whole meal instead.